There's not going to be any formal intro for this vlog either because I'm just so excited and I just want to jump right in. So I just got back from my lunch break and got this baby. I'm so excited. When I got there was a line and there were a few girls that looked to be around my age. And they were both holding this and like I got in line because mine was behind the counter. I had reserved a copy and one of them looked up and like made eye contact with me and I was just like, and she's like, like we both knew. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Oh, I did get mine at Barnes & Noble. So I think this has the extra face hand chapter at the end, but I'm not sure because I don't want to peek ahead and like accidentally spoil myself. So, okay, I'm literally only on chapter 1. Nesta's at Feyre and Rhys's house and she's talking about the paintings on the wall and how there are none of her or Feyre and her's mother. I do get for Nesta, like that would be shitty. Like if I showed up at my brother's house and like there were no pictures of me anywhere, but there were pictures of like the rest of the family, like that would suck. But also she hasn't wanted to be a part of that family and she's made that abundantly clear. So I'm kind of like, you kind of did it to yourself. I get it, but like I talked in my rereading vlog about how much I loved like bad guy Rhys. As much as I love good guy Rhys, bad guy Rhys just hits different. And already getting him in chapter 1, going head to head with Nesta, I think we're gonna get some more bad guy Rhys in this book. Mostly because we're gonna see him from Nesta's perspective. We're from Feyre's perspective. Obviously she loves him. So we see a lot of the good, where from Nesta, she does not like him. So I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of like distaste for Rhys, which I'm not here for any Rhys slander or Feyre slander. I love Feyre. If we at least get some good sparring between Rhys and Nesta, I'm here for it. Feyre's pregnant, right? She's totally pregnant. Putting the shield around her to mask her scent. I mean, we already knew that this was coming because of Throne of Glass, but okay, so I only just finished chapter 2 and oh my God, I feel like there's so much to say already. From Nesta's perspective, I get it and I get why she is in like a super dark place that she like can't get herself out of right now. And I totally get why she doesn't want to be around Feyre in the inner circle and how she views them as just being able to move on really easily after the war, where Nesta's like, am I the only one who's still struggling? So I get her side of it, and also how she's like, I'm an adult, I want to make my own choices. You can't tell me what to do. Nesta, I get it. But Feyre, I also get her point of being like, I think Feyre sees herself in Nesta right now, of kind of where she was in Mist and Fury, where she was in such a dark place and she couldn't pull herself out of there just completely on her own. Like she did, but it was because of Rhys and the inner circle that she was able to do that. And I think that's what Feyre is trying to do for Nesta. Like she did give her her own space and was hoping that Nesta could do it on her own. But now I think she's realized Nesta needs someone to be there for her. So this is just some tough love. From Feyre's perspective too, she's literally, her and Rhys are financially supporting Nesta. So they are like, they're also helping, or they're like helping her dig herself into a hole more by just financially supporting her. So I do get it. I get both sides. Also, Nesta, I mean, I know I'm not the biggest Nesta stan, so granted, I'm hoping that that's going to change throughout this book. I don't dislike her, but she's not my favorite character. And her saying that Feyre always gets what she wants, I'm just like, girl, you don't even know. Feyre, oh, I already went off in my last vlog, I think, about like how much I loved Feyre, and like Feyre literally did so much for these people and she has never once had it easy, but Nesta's almost painting it that way and I'm just like, Nesta, don't go there. Don't go there. Feyre has gone through so much shit. Feyre's gonna be getting a redemption arc. It's not that I don't want that. I guess I don't really care if he gets one or not. It's more that I don't care about his character taking away time from Nesta and Cassian and Lucian and Elaine and Az and more, like potentially the characters that we could be focusing on more in this book. I mean, granted, I'm only on page 58. I don't care about Eris, so I don't care about him having a redemption arc, but that comment about that he sacrificed something big to keep Kier away from Valaris, all because of Mor. I just don't care about him. I totally forgot that Nesta was like not engaged, but was like going to get engaged to Thomas. I forgot about him. Fuck that dude. what she just said that he did to her. See, this is the thing, that it's like I'm trying not to like get down on Nesta too much in the beginning of this book for being rude to everyone, because I think there's so much that we haven't seen of her, and like what she went through when Feyre was under the mountain or in the spring court. I just think there's a lot to Nesta that we haven't seen. So I'm trying to keep my judgments away, but I'm going to make them anyways. And watch, by the end of this video, I will be eating my words, hopefully. Dude, fuck Thomas. So Nesta just arrived at the library to help work out. The best part about being in Nesta's head is that we're hearing her inner monologue. And so I'm on page 78, and what she just said, she said, I'm tired of wanting to be anywhere but in my own head. And she's calling herself worthless and nothing. And it's just very reminiscent of Aelin in Heir of Fire and Feyre in Mist and Fury. So I think we're probably headed on that kind of trajectory on where all of their headspaces were at the time in those books, and how Rowan pushed Aelin, and how Rhys pushed Feyre. And I think Cassian is going to push Nesta, and ultimately she's going to come out on top in the end. I mean, I don't really see there being an alternative to that. Okay, so I'm on chapter 10 or 11, and I'm liking that we're finally kind of understanding why Nesta doesn't want to touch her powers or doesn't want to use them. And she was just talking how when she hid in Wings and Ruin, had looked into the cauldron, like used her power to track it and did that map thing with the bones and rocks, and I don't really know how that all happened. That then in turn the cauldron tracked her, and in turn took Elaine. And I think that's interesting that that's why she's scared to use her powers again, because it could be used against her or against the people that she loves. So again, I want that understanding of Nesta. So I like that we got that. And the other thing that I'm really liking so far is that we're getting more of Cassian, because I loved Cassian in the other books and I was really excited for him. And I like that he's been given more of a strategic role in the Night Court, and not just being like the brute that he's kind of been known as so far. So I like that we're getting to see more of his political prowess. But on the flip side of that, we're getting inside of his head where he does not think that he's smart enough for this. He doesn't think that he is the right person to be doing this. And we're kind of seeing how little he does think of himself sometimes. And I think about how it's referenced multiple times in the first 3 books, how Feyre's said, or like Rhys has made comments, how Cassian and Azriel both don't think that they're like good enough for more, or that they just constantly kind of revert back into being like the bastard born Illyrians. So I like that we're getting more of that with Cassian, because again, even though we see him as being like kind of this lovable character, that doesn't mean that he loves himself. And I think him and Nesta both have not a self-hatred, but I mean, maybe. They both just have a lot to overcome in terms of thinking about themselves and treating themselves better and giving themselves like a more of a benefit of the doubt. You know, like they're both very hard on themselves, and I think that's going to be interesting to see them unravel. Okay. Oh, we're just gonna leave that there. So a couple of things. So Cassian and Nesta did their training, or like she finally agreed to do an hour of training for a bargain, and she said that she said that she would call in her bargain later. And I'm wondering, is it going to be some kind of bargain like in Kingdom of Ash when Aelin gives, oh, spoiler alert, when Aelin gives Fenris the blood oath and then demands that he live? Could it be something like that? I don't know. Prediction time. And then other kind of thing / prediction, I don't know. Gywn is giving me some sketch vibes. I don't really know if I trust her. She's kind of giving me like fake Ianthe vibes. So I don't know. I could be wrong and I could just be judging this way too early. But I'm on page 149 and Gywn she doesn't sit right with me. I'm like itching for even the smallest bit of Rhys and Feyre. As much as I'm loving getting Cassian and Nesta's point of view, I can't help but miss the OGs. So when Rhys and Cassian just went to go meet Eris in the spring court, I was like, Rhys, my man! And there's no way that Feyre isn't pregnant, right? I mean, we already know with the Throne of Glass timeline, but with him being so distant and the talk of war and such, like, there's literally no way that she's not pregnant right now. And the shield and the smell. I'm really enjoying how Sarah J. Maas is describing Nesta's demons as being like wolves waiting to shred her apart, and like just as much as she became a wolf now, like that is what is destroying her. And I don't know, I just think it gives a good visual to Nesta and her inner turmoil, but also it's just an interesting way to describe it, that the very thing that has kept her going all these years is now ripping her apart and like kind of shredding all of her relationships too. I'm in chapter 17 and Elaine just showed up to talk to Nesta, and first of all, Elaine is just boring as fuck. I literally do not care about Elaine whatsoever. At least Nesta showed a bit of self-awareness in that conversation of being like, yeah, why wouldn't Elaine pick Feyre's side when Feyre rescued Elaine and us time and time again? And I'm like, okay, at least you're finally acknowledging that you sat by and let Feyre do all the work for you when you were younger. Just saying. Just saying. I can't help but be a Feyre stan, okay? I'm enjoying Nesta's character, but I still can't help but stan Feyre. Okay, I don't think this would ever happen, but they're talking about the 3 objects, the crown, the harp, and whatever the other one is. That the crown can, or that the harp can open any door, even a door between worlds. Okay, I don't think that this would happen, but how fucking epic would it be if there's like a final battle, things are about to go completely to shit, and you know how Rhys and Feyre always had like surprises for each other in battle? What if they're about to lose and then Rhys is like, I thought I'd gather some friends, and then like a door opens and then like Rowan, Aelin, Lorcan, Aedion, Dorian, Manon, they all show up to this battle? How fucking sick would that be? Like, tell me that wouldn't be the coolest thing to ever happen. So it's just finally confirmed that Feyre was pregnant. I mean, we knew this. We fucking knew this. And I actually really liked the moment, very small, that Nesta and Rhys had, like, kind of acknowledging each other, because Nesta knew. She's like, I need to let Rhys know that I do not mean any harm to Feyre or this child, because Rhys would rip her to shreds. Rhys! I love Rhys. With the house's magic, I don't remember the house having this kind of magic in Mist and Fury. So I'm kind of wondering if it's like Rhys or Feyre doing this special magic and communicating with Nesta, but to like do it to help her, but without like making it obvious because they know she would reject their help. So now we've reached the portion of the vlog where I'm too comfortable to sit up to do check-ins. So I'm going to continue to lay down here. So I'm on page 255, and Az and Cass were just sparring in the ring for Nesta to see like hand-to-hand combat. And first of all, I guarantee that cut threesome scene was between the 3 of them. It's just such a vibe in the scene right now. And Sarah J. Maas just, you know, low-key leak it. No one's gonna be mad about that. This scene with Az, and just like him in general popping in the book, you know, people are like, he barely says anything and people love him. That's me. But I am really intrigued by his character and how everyone just knows to leave him alone because gets so in his head, and no one quite wants to like unravel the layers of rage and ice that he's built around himself. And I want to unravel those layers, and I want a full book of him. If we don't get a full book of him, I'm gonna riot. I'm going to fucking riot. Because if I have to sit through a book of Elaine, potentially, at least give me Azriel, but not Azriel and Elaine together. As I've said before, I ship them as friends, but nothing else. Az deserves better than fucking Elaine. Nesta definitely has issues with authority, and the fact that she just explained everything to Gywn about the trove, I think Gywn is super sus, and Nesta definitely just let out a key piece of information that is going to come back and bite them all in the ass. I guarantee it. So I just finished chapter 26. I'm on chapter 27 now, and let me just say, Sarah J. Maas is really asserting herself in the adult fantasy genre with this one rather than the YA. A lot of people thought that chapter 55 was like the raunchiest shit, and chapter 55 in Aftermath was great. But I'm a big romance reader, so like that wasn't necessarily like anything, I don't know, like super crazy to me. But this in here, this is getting to be like real like romance level shit. And you won't hear any complaints from me. That's all I'm gonna say. On page 316, and okay, just another reason why I think Gywn might be bad, even though I really hope that she's not, honestly, at this point, because I'm really liking that Nesta has friends and that like her, Emery, and Gywn can all like vibe together and become friends. I don't know, it's just cute, and I don't want her to turn out to be bad, but I feel like there are a lot of signs pointing to that. And so she just was called a nymph by whatever the fuck that one lady's name is, her like person that does the research. And then when Nesta asked her about it, it said that like her mom was a nymph who was seduced by a high fae of the autumn court. So here's my thought, that one that either like that's Baron, or else it's one of the sons, and she is now his spy, like on the inside. And that she's gathering information from Nesta to use for Baron. I'm either gonna be really right or really wrong. Only time will tell. I don't even know where to fucking start. My entire body is covered in chills. I just finished chapter 29, and first of all, there's no way that Nesta and Cassian are not mates. When she started having that nightmare and he was jolted awake even though he didn't hear anything, that reminds me so much of Rhys and Feyre when they were both having nightmares and they could sense the other one. They're mates. But Nesta's nightmare of her like arching off the bed encapsulated in silver flames. First of all, title. But then Az and Cass and Rhys all trying to calm her down, and then Rhys going into her mind and seeing what she went through in the cauldron, and him saying that her gift is pure death. When I tell you that chills broke out across the entire expanse of my body, I'm not exaggerating. I mean, that's what I had kind of expected that her gift was, that it was death. But oh my god. And to see like Rhys so rattled, my baby Rhys, like, this shit is just it's so good. I'm fucking loving this book so much so far. So Nesta now has a dead army? I just finished chapter 36, and literally, what is that? What was that? What? This is, I really don't even have anything to say right now. I'm just so like, what the hell? Day 2 of reading Silver Flames. So I am about halfway through. I got about halfway through yesterday. The story has just pulled me in, especially leaving off where I did last night with Nesta getting the mask and rising with the dead, and Az and Cass kneeling before her. Like, I screamed. When I tell you I screamed, just know it. Nesta's chapter learning the sword play, training with Cassian, I'm on page 402, and when she has this moment of power holding the sword and fighting, and she's chanting in her head like, never again will I be weak, it almost reminds me a little bit of chapter, I forgot what chapter it is, but it's in Mist and Fury when Feyre is training with Cassian and she is in her head kind of replaying everything that happened with Tamlin and why they don't work anymore, and her own frustration with herself, and her coming to terms with the fact that she had killed those innocent people. And it feels very reminiscent of that in a way, and I think that this is going to be like a breakthrough for Nesta, which I'm excited for. I mean, I'm halfway through the book and I really wanted that by this point, so I'm happy that I got that now, and now I'm just hoping that we build on this bit of momentum that I think that we just gained. Okay, I just finished chapter 42, and the idea of Feyre giving birth is just, it's not what we need right now. It's making me nervous, even though I don't think anything's going to, like, I don't think she's going to die, because then Rhys would die, and I really don't think Sarah J. Maas is going to kill both of them. The whole swords that Nesta now created, and how Amren said that Rhys could take those and become High King, and how all of them are kind of like on board with it besides Rhys. I don't think Rhys is going to become High King. Oh no, I never would have really pictured that, but again, like, he is the most powerful, like, I guess it would make sense. But I don't think that, like, he would want to do that. And I don't think that he would take these swords that Nesta created and used them to his own power. First of all, I kind of enjoyed the little Tim Tam cameo that he just had. I don't like him, but it does feel kind of weird not having him, like, be a part of this book whatsoever or even, like, mentioned at all. It just feels, like, a little odd, but I'm not saying that, like, I necessarily want him around. But that little moment where Nesta pointed her finger at him and he recoiled and she was like, I'm glad that you remember what happened to the last person I pointed my finger at. And since you are the reason that I went into the cauldron, better be careful. I love that. Nesta threatened the shit out of him. And I also love that she realized, like, how shitty he was to Feyre and what he did to Feyre, because I think Nesta often forgets about Feyre's trauma or, like, puts all of that aside for her own anger, which I kind of like that then we get that little kernel of acknowledgement. Nesta just told Feyre about the baby, and bitch, Nesta, this whole book, Nesta is like one step forward, three steps back. And I mean, it makes sense that she's not all of a sudden, I'm perfect and happy and everything's great. That would make no sense for her character. But it is just frustrating. I'm like, why do you always take your shit out on Feyre? Like, she was on your side in this. Oh. Not me crying and making a complete mess out of myself. Chapter 50, Nesta's, like, breakthrough moment here. I never thought that I necessarily related to Nesta until this book. And in this moment right now, I just, like, feel everything right alongside Nesta, and it's really getting me. And also the way that Cassian is there for her is just, I can't even articulate right now. These mythical creatures are always trying to just spill the tea on who's mates with who, because I guarantee, Lanthes was about to say that Cassian and Nesta are mates, but Cassian cut him off right before he said anything more. I was like, you're just as bad as the cereal, except the cereal was a real one. This Lanthes just sucks. Nesta's dancing with Eris at this ball, and Eris is just scum. But I do love the Court of Nightmares. As much as it sucks, like, the place itself and the people inside of it, it makes for a really fun setting and a fun place for our characters to kind of play around a bit. So I like that. One of my friends and I have been talking about a bit of a theory, and we think that maybe Yrene might show up. Okay, I know it sounds crazy, but Yrene from Throne of Glass, because she's, like, master healer, right? So if Rhys is going to, like, the ends of the earth trying to save Feyre and his baby, what better healer than Yrene? Like, Yrene can do everything because Yrene is a fucking queen. And if they have this harp that they can jump between worlds, I'm thinking, what if Rhys told Hellion to look around through his libraries for anything, and if Hellion might find something in there that talks about Yrene being able to heal somehow. Just a thought. I don't know. I think we want a crossover, especially with all this talk about the other dimension. Okay, all I've done so far is say how I think Gywn is evil, but now after chapter 59 and at the beginning of 60, I don't know if she is, because Nesta talked about how her, Emery, and Gywn are like a found family. You know, kind of how Feyre has. And I don't know if Sarah J. Maas would take that away from Nesta after giving her, like, these two really great female friends. I don't know about taking that away from her. There have been too many signs that I think Gywn is evil, so that if she's not, I'm kind of confused. But I don't know. I really like the female bond that they've all grown together, and how the training has all given them a purpose and a sense of healing for each of them individually. So I don't know, man. I'm kind of confused now. Also, what was that? Was that 59 or 58? Was that not Cassian and Nesta's mating bond locking into place? But yet there's no acknowledgement of it. But was that not? I'm really happy that Nesta and Amren made up, because genuinely I think the two of their characters, you know how we say like calls to like, I think Amren and Nesta are similar in a lot of ways. And it was true that Amren was kind of the only one who never gave up on Nesta, and I totally get why she felt betrayed by her. And I like that Nesta, you know, she realized her mistake and she apologized and they're able to move on. Was that Aelin falling through? Because at the start of chapter 62, they were talking about how a rare red star went blasting through the sky one day, and everyone said that it was an ill omen, and even Rhys was kind of shook by it a bit, and that Faye was only 2 months away from giving birth. So Nesta didn't end up using the bargain how I thought she would. But I mean, at least now we know, confirm that they're mates. Bless the fuck up. I mean, we knew this. I was like, at solstice night, they're mates, right? So at least Cassian knew, and Nesta has just been denying it from herself. But now Nesta, Gywn, and Emery were just taken in to do the Blood Rite. Yikes. I'm really getting vibes now. I don't think Gywn's bad. I think I'm actually kind of getting Gywn and Azriel vibes. Not me feeling like the biggest bitch, thinking that Gywn was bad this whole time. Gywn, Emery, and Nesta all just swapped stories at the base of, what's the big ass mountain called? Ramil. Deciding if they should climb it or not, and they all want to climb it for different reasons. And they're just all sharing their stories, and just fuck, like, the friendship that the three of these have is beautiful. And it's very reminiscent of the inner circle bonds that Feyre found, like her found family. Like Nesta's found that with Emery and Gywn, and now I feel bad that I was like, I think Gywn's bad this whole time. This whole vlog is gonna have been like a Gywn is evil vlog, and now I'm like, I don't think she is. But her story, Emery's story, and I definitely think Gywn is for sure gonna be a bigger player moving forward. And I'm getting vibes with her and Az, so I'm thinking like maybe her and Az, and I think more in Emery, like they kind of shared like a little moment, I don't know, a long time ago, so maybe that's a thing. J. Moss, I think she does really well as her writing of like mental health and these traumatic things that have happened to these characters and how they overcome them. I think a lot of people are going to be able to see themselves in some of these stories that these women have went through, and that's just really powerful, and it's got me crying. Chapter 73 heading into 74. Cassian is now under the control of Breland. Bitch. When he said, and now I'll slit your pretty little throat to Nesta, oh my god, I literally gasped out loud. I was like, Feyre giving birth? Don't play me like that, Sarah J. Maas. I mean, in my heart, deep down, I knew that she was not going to kill Rhys and Feyre. But, oh, did it have me just on the edge there for a second?
I finished Silver Flames last night, and I'm going to talk about it, or do my final, like, wrap-up thoughts just while I'm doing my makeup here for the day. So, I did finish it in, like, a day and a half, which I'm very happy with, because I did not want to travel with it today. So I'm glad that I don't have to take that clunky book with me. I don't really even have words for how much I loved Nesta's story in this book. I mean, it was the absolute highlight for me. I had said, if you watched my other ACOTAR vlog, I never hated Nesta, but she was not my favorite character, and honestly, I didn't really necessarily care about her story herself. I was more interested in her and Cassian together. But her story was one that I think is similar to Aelin and Feyre's in a way that anyone who has struggled with mental health can look at and see themselves in, and that's something that I really look for in books. I look for really accurate mental health representation, and I think people just want to see their own struggles seen in fiction, and kind of like how Sarah J. Maas said in the acknowledgments, she's like, while not everything in Nesta's story is my own personal reflection, there are moments in there that are like a part of me, and I couldn't agree more with that. I think that with all of her heroines, or at least for Aelin, not as much Aelin, I would say more with Feyre and Nesta for me. I really, I don't know, I see like a female character who is very strong processing emotions and her own health in a way that feels very true to me. So I mean, I loved it. I also did like getting more of Cassian. I mean, obviously we didn't get as much of him as we got of Nesta, and that's fine. I did like at least getting from his perspective more. I thought that Nesta and Cassian together, I was like, when they come together, that's gonna be explosive, and bitch, it was, and I loved every single second of it, honestly. But as much as Rhys and Feyre's relationship is like lovey-dovey, and I love that too, Nesta's and Cassian's is like a whole other level, and I was into it. I also liked the different parts we got with some of the other characters. I do definitely think moving forward, we're probably gonna be getting more of like Eris, more as Gywn, Emery, probably Elaine. I don't care about Elaine. I am excited to see where Sarah J. Maas takes these other characters. But let's talk about the ending here though, because I didn't check in, I don't think at all at the end, because I couldn't stop. The Blood Rite, first of all, I'm so happy that we got that, and so happy that our queen bees that we followed this whole book got to experience that and like come out on top. I was loving that. It felt very Hunger Games-esque, which I really liked. I thought it was really cool, and just a really good insight on the Illyrians more so too, which, I mean, we already knew that their shit is a little backwards, but we got even more of that. I guess cool. Eris isn't a traitor, but I don't trust him, and I really don't care about a redemption arc for him. He's just a character that, again, like, I don't necessarily care about. Like, I get that he's kind of necessary, but I don't really care about him whatsoever, and I don't care if he is around. I'm assuming he's gonna be around more, but whatever. Him getting rescued, that was just kind of like a whole thing. But the part that literally made me gasp out loud was when when Cassian showed up at the Blood Rite, when whatever Bellius or whatever was attacking Nesta, and he was about to slit Nesta's throat, and then Cassian killed him, and then he helped Nesta up, and then he said, now I'm gonna slit your pretty little throat. I fucking screamed. I was like, what the fuck? And then that whole situation, how that all went down with Cassian then getting hurt. Cassian is always getting hurt, poor dude. And then Nesta obliterating the queen into nothing. I loved that for Nesta. I loved her being able to do that, especially because she wanted revenge against these human queens. So I like that she at least got her revenge against one. I don't know if we'll see the others moving forward. I wouldn't be surprised, but also I feel like we didn't get enough of them in the other books to really make them that important. But then again, we didn't really get a lot of Breland anyways. But I think moving forward, our biggest foe is going to be Baron and Koshi, the like death god of that river. I think those are going to be our two biggest like opposing forces moving forward. Okay, so then it's like Whippy, yay, Cassian's back, Nesta's good, get them out of the Blood Rite, and then Rhys and Feyre. That whole scene was just so emotional. Seeing Rhys be held back by Cassian and Az, like that did something to my heart. And then seeing Feyre kind of like almost know in that moment that she didn't think she was gonna make it, like, oh my god, that was insane. And seeing everyone around and then the baby being born, like, Nyx, first of all, I want a little book of Rhys and Feyre just being parents, like a Frost and Starlight book, but just of them raising Nyx. That'd be cute. Let's talk about the whole ending and how that ended with Nesta and her powers. So I feel like some people, I'm just like anticipating the reaction. I think some people might be kind of mad maybe that Nesta gave up her power, but then that the mother gave some back. It felt very Aelin-esque, you know, in Kingdom of Ash when she like gives up her power, but then the mother gives her like a little kernel back. It felt like that to me. So, I mean, Nesta is not going to be powerless. And as we know, she can handle herself without magic too. So it's not like she needs that to survive. I kind of actually like that she doesn't have her full powers anymore, because it kind of makes sense for her character. Like, she spent the whole book hating that she had this power and like repressing it. And yes, even when she did get more control over it, she liked using it a bit, but still she was never like having as much fun with her power or liked that she had it. Like, I think she kind of resented it, especially with how she got it. I don't think it was how she wanted to have powers. It's not like Feyre, where when she got her power, she was having fun learning it and like she needed it in order to kind of survive. Like, I don't think Nesta's power was the same in that way. So I don't think she had the same attachment to it. So I personally kind of like that that's how it ended up. And I liked that she was able to use it to not only save Feyre and Rhys, but then to also, I think like in that moment she really forgave herself when Feyre forgave her, and she was able to tell Feyre that she loved her. And I really do think that that was just as much of a healing moment for Nesta as it was for Feyre, but Rhys too. And then when Rhys dropped to his knees in front of Nesta and thanked her, again, I screamed. I was like, oh my god, our king, or my king Rhys, because I know there's some like Rhys haters out there. That's fine. It's your own opinion. It's a fictional character. I personally love Rhys. And when he dropped to his knees in front of her, oh my god. And then when Nesta got down and embraced him, like, oh, just kill me. I really loved that whole scene giving birth. And then the fact that she changed Feyre's anatomy. So Feyre's definitely gonna have more kids. And one of my friends and I were talking, and she thinks that Rhys and Feyre are gonna have a girl, and then that the girl is gonna get all of Rhys's power. And I would love that. I mean, not that I have anything against baby Nyx already, but I just think Sarah J. Maas writes really great, powerful female characters, and I would love to see Rhys and Feyre have a daughter that then like gets all of their powers. The other part to that too is then that Nesta also changed her anatomy. So, I mean, we're definitely gonna get a Cassian and Nesta kid at some point in the future. Like, even if it's not in the next books, like, I just, you know, they're gonna eventually have a kid, which is cute. But then I was talking with my friend and she was like, but she didn't change Gwyn's anatomy. So if Gwyn and Az are mates or they get together, how's that gonna work? And here are my two theories on that. Either Nesta, she learned how to like heal Feyre, that's what she asked the mother, so she could either maybe do that and be able to help Gwyn, or Az and Cassian had talked about this at the beginning of the book. They talked about being dads, and I don't know if this is 100%, but I'm pretty sure that Az said that he didn't want to have kids, where Cassian was like, of course I want kids, where I don't think Az was like as gung-ho for having kids. And with all of his like feelings towards the Illyrians, I don't know if he'd want like his kid to have to also go through that. I think then maybe that Az and Gwyn would have kids if they were together, you know? As for Nesta and Cass being mates, I mean, like, again, we knew this, we saw this coming, and I'm glad when Nesta on that mountain was just like, cause my mate taught me how, I was like, yes, bitch. Yes, bitch. Oh, I turned into such a Nesta stan in this book, and I know other Nesta stans are gonna be like, exactly as we've been saying. But to be fair, Nesta kind of sucked in the first 3 books. So Nesta in this book completely turned herself around. Moving forward, I mean, these are like very off-base predictions because I really have nothing to go on, obviously, and it's super far away. But I think there's got to be something to the High King conversation because it came up so many times, and I think that maybe Rhys could do it. Or it's not that I don't think that he could do it, but I genuinely don't think he wants it. But I think if the other High Lords like Tarkin and Helion and Callus and Thessian, and then there's Baron and Tamlin, if they all get behind him, and not Baron and Tamlin probably, actually Tamlin would be like, yeah, fuck off, I'd rather just stay in my beast form and prowl my forests. But I do think that if they got behind him on that Rhys might consider it, like they might need to do that going against Kochi and Baron. So if they did, I want Reese's perspective during that time. And I think Reese could do it because Reese doesn't have a hunger for power. He just knows how to use it. So I do genuinely think that he would be a really good king. I don't know if that's what I want for him, you know? I feel like he's kind of paid his dues of always having to have everyone's back. And now that he's gonna be a dad, like, I don't know. Let the dude relax. He's like 500 years old. If he just wants to chill with his kid and his wife or his mate, let him do that. So we'll see. Moving forward, I will just say, unpopular opinion here, I kind of miss Tamlin. I think because he was such a huge player in the first 3 books, and to not get him really at all except for that one quick scene, and it wasn't like I missed him because I like his character. I missed him because it's just like he was a fun guy to be around to hate, you know? And he was a good foe in a way that I think he had some heart to him, where I think Eris, I'm just like not interested in. But Tamlin at least I think has some chance of like redemption in the future. Do I necessarily want that? No, but I do want Tamlin back a bit. And I think if Lucian gets a book or a perspective, Tamlin's going to be a big part of that, especially now that Feyre's pregnant or has had a baby. I can't imagine what Tim Tam's going to do. Overall, I absolutely loved every single second of this book. I thought it was like explosive. First of all, I loved that, but I'm a romance reader, so none of that like bothered me at all. I was just like, okay. And I really turned around on Nesta's character a lot. And like I said, I think her journey will ring true for a lot of people, and I hope that it does. I know it definitely did for me. And I genuinely loved it. I loved getting Cassian's perspective too, and I just think there's so much more potential to be explored in this world, and that makes me really excited. But it also sucks because now we have to wait like who the fuck knows how long, and I never had to wait with any of the other books because I read them all last year. So this is gonna be bad to wait, but at least everything wrapped up pretty nicely and we're not on like any cliffhangers like Empire of Storms. If I would have had to wait for Kingdom of Ash after reading Empire of Storms and then getting Tower of Dawn in between, I would have lost my mind. Oh, I'm sad that it's over. I genuinely, truly felt really touched by this book and by Nesta's story, and oh, I really appreciate that Sarah J. Maas told her story. So, I don't know, I think that's where I'm gonna cut it, but I hope if you chose to read the book that you also enjoyed it. And if you didn't, that's okay too, because their books are out there for everyone's opinion. So if you liked it, great. If you didn't, cool. Next up, I am going to be reading Crescent City because I have not read Crescent City yet. So I think I'm going to read that next. And I will, of course, do a vlog on that one as well. And I have some other reading vlogs planned because there are some other like pretty big series that I've never read that I want to get into. So you guys can stick around for that, or you can choose to leave. It's completely up to you.